in weapons and had a giant D emblazoned on the side that pulsed with ominous energy. The villain himself appeared on a platform extending from the ship. He was tall, thin, and wore a lab coat that had clearly been modified to look more menacing, complete with spikes on the
Who is that? A villain! Let's get him!
shoulders and a cape that existed solely for dramatic effect.
I have detected an anywhere door in this vicinity, pointing directly at Nobita's.
Surrender it immediately, or face the consequences of my science-based wrath!
Should we surrender it?
No! The anywhere door technology in the wrong hands could be catastrophic! If someone like Destructo gains control of spatial manipulation...
He could create doorways to anywhere and take over everything!
I could what now?
I mean, yes, exactly that! That's definitely my plan! Did he not have a plan?
Shh! We're not helping him! Nobita, you really need to plan ahead.
Can I punch him?
He's 50 meters in the... I can punch up!
That's not how physics works. Physics hasn't stopped me before.
Doraemon's mind raced. They were facing an actual villain, not
An accidental disaster or a misunderstanding, but a genuine bad guy with advanced technology and questionable fashion choices. This required a plan, a strategy.
Fire the Grabomatic! A beam of light shot from the evil ship and wrapped around the anywhere door, which was still sitting in...
Nobita's room. The door began to lift, pulled by the tractor beam, floating toward the ceiling. Everyone lunged for the door simultaneously, which resulted in a pileup of legendary proportions. Nobita grabbed the door handle but was lifted along with it. Shizuka grabbed Nobita's legs but was also lifted. Jian grabbed Shizuka's ankles. Sunio grabbed Jian's shirt, realized this was undignified, and let go, falling back to the floor with a
Sunio! I have a reputation to maintain!
The human chain, minus Sunio, continued to rise, pulled through the ceiling, which thankfully gave way and...
This is the opposite of what I wanted! Hold on! Take copter!
the propeller-top device onto his head, and it began to spin, giving him enough lift to counteract the tractor beam. The chain stopped rising, hovering.
Interesting. You have additional future technology. This will make my victory even more profitable.
Your victory isn't happening! I won't let you misuse the Anywhere door! How do you plan to stop me, Tiny Blue? Sphere? I'm a cat! A spherical cat! It's a design choice!
While Doraemon argued about his body shape, Nobita had an idea. It was probably
It's a terrible idea, because his ideas usually were, but it was an idea nonetheless. Simon! The door is still connected to your explanation! The fold thing! What if we fold space right now and send him somewhere far away?
That's actually not terrible. But we need to establish a connection to a distant location first, and I can't think while holding all of you.
I can think!
But Doraemon, what about the gadget?
Yeah, hurry up! He's just making excuses. That's exactly
It's what got us into this mess. But this time I'll think of one thing, really hard. The one thing I'm best at thinking about. What's that? Running away!
Nobita closed his eyes and concentrated with an intensity he usually reserved for avoiding homework. He thought about escape. He thought about being somewhere far, far away from danger. He thought about the most distant, unreachable, completely impossible to find location his brain could imagine. The Anywhere door, still
And his grip began to glow. What are you doing? Stop doing whatever you're doing!
I don't even know what we're doing.
Don't lie to me!
I'm doing! That's my power, random competence!
The door swung open, and beyond it was nothing. Not darkness, not space, not any.
What is that?
That's the null space, the void between dimensions. It's where spatial folds connect before they reach their destination. No one's ever opened a door to it before.
Is that good or bad?
I have no idea.
The null space began to pull at everything nearby, not physically, but conceptually. It pulled at existence itself, trying to fill its own emptiness. Destructo's ship lurched toward the open door, its engines firing desperately to resist the pull.
What have you done? Close the door! Close it now!
I don't know how. I just thought really hard about not being...
Here. That's not a destination. It worked though. The chaos escalated beautifully. Destructo's ship was being pulled into the null space, but so was everything
Else nearby, loose leaves, birds, one unfortunate weather balloon, and Mr. Ganari's toupee, which finally revealed its true nature as a separate entity capable of independence.
My secret! No! Doraemon realized they needed to close the door before the entire neighborhood was pulled.
Close it while thinking of a real destination. It'll reset the connection and seal the null space. I'll do it. Gian released his...
into non-existence, but his hands were full holding on to everyone, and his take copter was straining to maintain altitude.
Someone needs to grab the door and...
Grip on Shizuka and began climbing up the human chain with the determination of someone who had arm wrestled actual bears.
Gian, no! It's too dangerous!
Danger is my middle name!
Your middle name is Takeshi.
That's my first name! Danger is somewhere in there!
Gian reached the door, grabbed the hand, with the confidence of a man whose approach to problems was always physical violence, attempted to punch the null space. This did not work.
Why? Won't it punch?
It's a conceptual void, Giant. You can't punch concepts.
Watch me! He punched again, harder. The null space rippled slightly, which shouldn't
Have been possible, because abstract voids don't ripple. But Gian's commitment to punching things had apparently transcended the laws of physics.
I think it's working.
Of course it is! Sunio called from below, having finally stopped being useless and started filming everything for later bragging purposes. Gian kept punching, each hit sending ripples through
The void. But he also started concentrating, thinking about where he wanted to be. And Gian, fundamentally, wanted to be one place. Center stage, being admired. The door's connection shifted. The null space was replaced by a location, a massive concert stadium, filled with cheering fans, spotlights, and a stage big enough for a giant.
What the?
Destructo's ship, no longer pulled by the void, lurched forward toward this new destination. The villain himself was pulled
From his platform by the abrupt change in momentum, flying through the air and through the anywhere door, he landed on the concert stage, confused.
Huh? Where am I?
and disoriented. The stadium, as it turned out, was hosting a heavy metal concert. The fans, already hyped up on energy drinks and aggressive music, saw a strange man in a lab coat with a cape appear out of nowhere.
Doraemon, what's going on?
I have no idea, Nobita.
Behold the power of my invention!
Before the crowd surged forward and carried him away in a mosh pit that would be talked about for decades. Back in the sky above, the group watched through the anywhere door as the villain disappeared into a sea of headbanging fans.
Did we win? I think Gion's love of performing won.
Gion finally closed the door, and immediately the spatial distortions ceased. The group began to descend. Doraemon's take-copter guiding them gently back to Earth. They landed in the empty lot, exhausted, bewildered, and somehow victorious.
So, Shizuka said, brushing herself off. The anywhere door can also connect to abstract concepts like nowhere if the user thinks about them hard enough? Apparently, I'm adding that.
To the documentation. Warning, may access impossible destinations if user is Nobita.
I'm a pioneer! You're a disaster who occasionally gets lucky.
Those aren't mutually exclusive. The group collapsed onto the grass, staring up at the sky where Destructo's now empty ship still floated, slowly drifting away without it.
It's Pilot. What do we do about that? I'll report it to the Time Patrol. They'll collect it.
And deal with Destructo. He'll probably be fine. Concert crowds usually return stage divers eventually.
Usually?
Some prefer the crowd life. It's a valid choice.
As the sun began to set on the strangest science lesson any of them had ever experienced, the group reflected on what they had learned. The Anywhere door wasn't just a convenient gadget, it was a piece of technology that folded the fabric of reality itself. It was powerful, beautiful, and incredibly dangerous when misused. But more importantly, they had learned that understanding something, truly understanding how it worked, made it possible to use it in ways no one had anticipated. Nobita's chaotic thinking had somehow accessed a dimension that shouldn't exist. Jian's determination had punched abstract concepts. Shizuka's intelligence had grasped principles that would take others years to understand. And together, they had defeated a villain who should have been way out of their league.
I finally understand how the Anywhere door works. Really? It works through friendship. That's not...
Then stopped. Because in a way, Nobita wasn't entirely wrong. The door's power came from intention, and intention came from desire, and desire came from connection. The door had taken them where they needed to be because they had worked together. It had responded to their combined will. You know.
What, you're not completely wrong?
I'm going to remember this moment forever.
Don't let it go to your head.
Too late. It's already there, living rent-free.
The group laughed together as the first stars appeared overhead, each one representing a destination the Anywhere door could theoretically. The universe was vast, full of wonders and dangers, and they had just scratched the surface of understanding it. But they had each other. And with Doraemon's pocket full of gadgets and their hearts full of determination and a healthy dose of chaos, there was nowhere they couldn't go.
So, same time tomorrow for another science lesson?
Absolute!
Everyone knew he didn't mean it.
Adventures were what they did. Chaos was how they lived. And the Anywhere door would always be there, ready to take them wherever their hearts and Nobita's unpredictable brain desired. And somewhere, in a mosh pit at a heavy metal concert, Professor Destrecto was beginning to understand that the 21st century was far stranger than he had anticipated.
Browsers! I just wanted to steal a door!
The universe, it seemed, had a sense of humor. The end, or rather, the beginning of the next adventure, which would inevitably involve Nobita thinking too hard about something. Doraemon.
I need help.
What is it, Nobita?
Is it a gadget? Yeah, show us.
Reese will be into his pocket for help, and everyone learning that science, friendship, essential was like doors.